We moved very quickly, I believe, but I understand there was little communication from us during this time, and that was by design. We needed to get this done as quickly as we could. I'd like to thank a few people who served our university throughout the search process. Former Mustang student-athletes Steve Jones and Ted Tollner, as well as the chair of the Athletic Directors Council, John Ronca. Deputy Athletic Director Dr. Nick Pettit was instrumental in this process, and also I'd like to thank from the university Al Liddicoat and Samson Blackwell for their leadership as we went through this very quick and arduous process. It took a lot of time to go through it. Additionally, from our senior leadership team, Keith Humphrey and President Jeff Armstrong were with us in each and every step, and I'm so very proud to be associated with all these amazing individuals here at Cal Poly. Coach Baldwin spoke with the team this afternoon, just a couple hours ago. He's going to dedicate the coming week to recruiting. There's a new early signing period for football that started a year or two ago, so he's going to be in full swing of recruiting. We'll get him out in the community as soon as we can. He also has some duties up at Cal Berkeley that he still has to wrap up. I'd also like to thank Tim Walsh for all his leadership and service to this university. He leaves behind an excellent group of young men. Our culture within our football program is excellent. They're thriving academically and socially. He did an amazing job for this university during his 11 years of service to Cal Poly. We're not just welcoming Bo Baldwin, we are welcoming the entire Baldwin family. So Bo's wife, Nicole, is here. I'm sure Bo's going to introduce them all himself, but I wanted to make sure you know that this is Nicole and their two daughters, Mia and Macy, are joining the Mustang family, so welcome. Almost all our head coaches are here today. I believe they're among the finest educators on our campus. We utilize our playing and practice fields as a leadership laboratory, something we know Bo Baldwin embraces. We spoke a lot about this through the process, and I know Bo embodies learn by doing and our core values that we have within our athletic program, which we call the Mustang Way. As we were looking for our ideal candidate to lead Mustang football, we had a few traits that we were looking for that I wanted to cover real quick, just to kind of show you what our process was like. We looked for experience as a head coach. Check. Bo Baldwin has 10 years as a sitting Division I head coach. Commitment to mentorship and being an educator. Check. The first comments from Bo were about the development of young men and a coach's role as a teacher. When we visited with Coach Baldwin, he never once brought up his win-loss record, his championships, his national championship. What he continually wanted to talk about was how he considers himself to be a teacher and takes his role seriously in the social development of young men 18 to 23. His ability to recruit to high academic standards, check. Bo served the last 3 years as the assistant head coach at Cal with similar admission standards to what we have. We've discussed at length our identity as one of the most competitive universities in the United States to gain admission, and we know Bo embraces those standards. Track record of success in FCS, check. Bo's record in Big Sky games is 58-14 as a head coach. Bo's record in Big Sky games is 58-14. Did I say that again? 58-14. He won the Big Sky Conference 5 times in his last 7 years at Eastern Washington. That's an amazing run of success. He's the second winningest coach in Big Sky Conference history. Postseason experience, check. As head coach, he's gone to the FCS playoffs 6 times, getting to the national semifinals 4 times, and then winning a national championship in addition to that. He's one of only 4 active head coaches in FCS to have won a national championship. I believe Bo Baldwin fits perfectly within our community, our university, our athletic department, and I know our committee completely agrees with this assessment. With that, I'd like to ask President Armstrong to come up and present to you our new football coach.
Well, when I start, let's give Don Oberhelman a big round of applause. He was instrumental in doing this. Well, you know, many of you have heard me speak before that, you know, we have an amazing university, and there's several, like, front porches. You know, I grew up in the South. Front porch is really important. And athletics is the front porch. And that's how people view Cal Poly. Many people view us through these amazing student athletes and these amazing educators, coaches or assistant coaches. And I just echo what Don said about the great work that Tim Walsh and his team has done over the past few years. But our Cal Poly coaches and the student athletes, they represent Cal Poly. And that's amazing. It's learned by doing in action. So when you think about our athletics and you think about the stage, then football comes into play. And so many of our alumni, some that have been, out of Cal Poly for many years have said, we love Cal Poly academics and we love athletics, but we need athletics, we need football to rise to the level of academics. And the way to do that is through good people. And I couldn't be happier with the person that we have joining us in Bo Baldwin. Several years ago when I started, Don will say that my best hire ever, but he was my first hire as president. We had several positions open at that time. And I remember an amazing reporter from the Mustang News said, President Armstrong, what's your role in the athletic director search, provost, deans of the different colleges? What's your role? Well, I can count on the people involved to bring the quality within that discipline, within that sport. But my role is Cal Poly values. I want to make sure that a person that joins us in a high-profile position like this, as football coach or any of the other positions I mentioned, that they have Cal Poly values. We didn't have the Mustang Way then, but it was that very thing 9 years ago. And that's what impressed me so much about Bo Baldwin. He talked about 3 fundamental areas where he's working. Athletics, to improve the young men as they're getting better and better. Their academics, that they're going to graduate and have that standard, that APR. But he said probably most importantly, we have these 17, 18-year-old young men and many of the other coaches in the crowd, young men and women, that come in and they're going to be better after their time here at Cal Poly. And a byproduct is winning, and winning consistently. That's what we also learned about Bo Baldwin. So Nicole, Mia, and Macy, we're delighted to welcome you. And so I'll just echo what Don said. This is a great day to be a Mustang, isn't it? Let's welcome our new coach, Bo Baldwin. Come on up, Bo.
Hey, I just want to first thank everyone for being here today, too. Such a special day for so many reasons, and I mean this when I say I'm truly humbled. I'm humbled to be a part of this. I just know, the rich history that is involved with Cal Poly, both on the field and probably more importantly off the field, and what that rich history is all about. And as I join this family, which I'm so, like I said, humbled to be a part of, I will learn more and more about that history. And I'm excited to dive in more and more about that. More than anything, whenever you're in a spot like this, and I'm sorry if I take a while, but I'm going to miss some folks, but thank yous are in order. There's nothing, there's no way I'd be in this spot without so many people along the way. I want to start first and foremost with my family. And just thank you so much, Nicole. We met during my coaching journey in 2003, and shortly thereafter, my life changed, during that time between 2003, 4, 5, 6, during an assistant job. So I thank you so much, Nicole. I would not be here. Mia and Macy, I think I'm pretty good with numbers, but how guys are. Sometimes they forget reunion and other things, but I don't forget November 22nd, 2006, and December 29th, 2004. Those 2 days, and I know Nicole would agree with me, are the 2 best days of our lives. And it's not even, no other day is even close to those 2 days. And again, you changed my life. and you'll continue to do that forever. And I love you to death they're 13 and almost 15, even when you're fighting in the hotel room last night, and they're over there, and Nicole's just like, thank goodness we have 2 rooms. I'm never doing the 1 room again, but even through that, they're coming through that door, but I still love you through all that. I do, and it's so amazing. Thank you to the people here. I can't tell you. Don Oberhelman, I've known for a number of years, and we developed a friendship, mostly in Park City. And, but I could tell from day one, just such an amazing person. To be a part and to be working and to be in line, I just appreciate that. Ooh, President Armstrong, unreal. I'm just telling you, it's just unreal, the passion that you have for so many things that are encompassing this university, and it didn't take long. I like to think, I don't like to talk about myself, but I like to think I get a good feel for people, and President Armstrong, it's special. And that's part of the reason when I, got to meet on that Wednesday night, and then continued to have conversations. It's like, this is different. This really is different. And different people in that room, and forgive me, I've met so many people, but Keith and John and Coach Tollner and Steve and Dr. Pettit, just within that first night, I just felt it. And I said, if this is the way the rest of the Cal Poly family feels, then this is unreal. This is amazing. And this is special. So that's, I just thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. And then I go backwards a little bit with the thank yous. And I'm going to do it. I was lucky to be a part of a Hall of Fame head coach in high school. And I know I'm going way back, but Coach Lucy, thank you. Coach Munson, Coach Keller, if it wasn't for that start, and you never know in high school what you're going to roll into, who knows if I'd, be here. The late Coach Dunbar took a chance on me and again signed me at Central Washington. Coach Greg Olson, who was my quarterback coach, taught me how to compete. He's now down the road with the Oakland Raiders. Amazing. Central Washington was his first job. That was my first playing experience, and I still stay in touch with him. And then through there, Coach Zenizek, who has a son here at Cal Poly. He was the first coach that I worked for. Small world there. Coach Zamberlin, 2 head coaches at Central that I wouldn't be here without those men in my life. Fast forward then to Coach Paul Wolf, who hired me at Eastern Washington as an assistant coach. And again, that's where my life really changed. Where I met Nicole, had our daughters, me and Macy. I owe Paul Wolf so much. Not just for what I learned football-wise in the jump, but how that changed my life. Along the way, Jack Bishop, who gave me my first chance. Athletic director Jack Bishop as a head coach. Then an opportunity back at Eastern. President Arevalo, Dr. Mary Cullinan supported me along the way during those 9 years at Eastern. And then Bill Chase, athletic director there at Eastern Washington. It wasn't just an athletic director football coach. He's a friend, and he's a friend for life. And without him and his support, there's no way we could have done the things we did at Eastern Washington. And I'll always be grateful for my time there. And then most recently, Coach Wilcox, and the opportunity he gave me at Cal to be the offensive coordinator the last 3 years at Cal. But not only that, to learn and to grow as a coach. I'm a better coach now than I was in 2016, coming out of Eastern Washington because of my experience. And I learned so much from Coach Wilcox and his leadership and the staff he put together. It's just, again, I'm so grateful for the last 3 years. And I get to go back up there and finish out a couple more years with those amazing people there in Berkeley as well. So I just thank them. And on top of that, all the student athletes along the way. I told that to the team today. Without them, we don't get to do what we do. Without their hard work, without their dedication. So my time at Central Washington, those student athletes were part of the initial problem. My time at Eastern Washington, amazing young men in that locker room. And I know I wouldn't be here without their efforts on the field and off the field. In my most recent time at Cal, that's an amazing locker room up there. An amazing group of young men who know how to do things right. And that will never go, like I said, that will never slip past me how much those young men mean to me. Yes, we demand a lot, but at the end of the day, I thank them too. And I can't wait to, again, go see them. And whenever, I've left a place, and it hasn't been too many, I look for those long-term relationships, but whenever I have left a place, it's hard, but I'm glad it's hard. Because if it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be meaningful where you're at. And that's how I look at it. So I just am so appreciative. And then being here, I just thank all the former Cal Poly football players, all the former Cal, not just football players, but alums. I thank all of you for being here today. Fellow coaches taking time out of your day to be here. That means something to me. I believe in being aligned. I've gotten to meet, like I said, I mentioned Coach Tollner, and I got to meet him, an amazing story. And I want to continue to learn more about that. I can't wait to connect with Coach Madden, but those are just a few. But again, I want to continue to get to know all of you that are such a big part of this family. And again, that was the foundation. And the most recent foundation, and I know a lot of the coaches here, but especially Coach Walsh, I've known him for many years, back to his Portland State days. And I know a lot of coaches like to get up and talk about, I'm going to change this and do this differently. Obviously, you're always going to have your own spin on things, and you should. Your identity should come out in your program. But all the while, I am very humble to the fact I know the foundation that Coach Walsh and his staff left this place. I know the foundation. I know how those young men treat one another because of the leadership that he showed. So that excites me. Guess what? That makes my job easier because I know exactly who that man is, and I know a lot of the staff that he hired. So that means something to me, and I'm just so appreciative of that, and everybody associated with that Cal Poly family. And again, as we get to, the whys too. Thought about that. Don't get me wrong. I'm so excited to be a head coach again. I mean, that's one of the biggest whys. I just have an absolute passion for it. I love it. But it still has to be right. It wasn't as if. So the whys, and when you want to go, the number one answer and the top reason why, it's the people. That started with it. You say, why here, why now? It's the people. Whether it's the people in the community, and believe me, I did my research. I've known a lot of coaches who have been down here, lived down here. I did my research on that. And then I got to be around some of those gentlemen early on in this process, which just a week ago, really. But it was something that, again, you just started to feel what the people were about. And then, obviously, you dive into the history. This was an incredible opportunity. As hard as it was to leave, it was an incredible opportunity, and it was right, and it was right now. And I can't wait. I'm so hungry to be a head coach. And Coach hit on it again. My goals, and I want to be able to look. I told the players this today, and I see a couple up here. My goals are to be able to go into a recruit's house and be able to tell the parents. Here's what I used to say. I used to say, hey, I'm gonna be like an older brother to your son. I remember that. That wasn't long ago I was saying that. Now if I say that, they're going to look at me kind of cross-eyed. Okay, I'm going to be a father figure now. I've seen their birth date. I see how it is. But I want to be able to tell those parents that that's what it's going to be, those pivotal years. Okay? That between 18 and 23, I will be that father figure. I will be someone that it'll mean something. Not just those 11 Saturdays, but I'm talking about a conversation in March or in May where those guys want to come in, and we're not going to just talk about football. I want to talk about how they're doing in their classroom. I want to talk about how their family's doing. You never know what something's going through an 18, 19, 20-year-old's head when maybe they're feeling a little bit homesick. And sometimes you think, are they pouting about where they are on the depth chart or this or that? Stop and ask them. Bring them in. Talk to them. Develop a relationship. I've heard about guys going through a program and saying, I never really had a conversation with my head coach. That's besides all the winning and everything else, that's one of my biggest goals, is that I will connect with those young men, not just on that practice field and on that game day, but throughout the calendar year. And guess what? That'll be a byproduct of a strong program. And like Dr. Armstrong talked about, and we talked about it in length, we're already set up. These young men understand what it is to succeed academically. They understand that. Sometimes they're still 18, 19. Sometimes they need that push. I know that, and I see that, but they understand. So it's not even, it's not even negotiable. Obviously, you're going to walk away with an amazing degree from a top 10 university in the country. And again, you're going to develop on the field. The coaching staff that we put together are going to be amazing teachers. They're going to be amazing communicators. They're going to be those guys that, again, can bring a team together and can teach. They're going to know football, no question, but they're going to be able to communicate it. But one of the biggest things for me is I want to develop that team socially. I want to develop those young men so they feel like when they're 23 years old, they are a different person than they were when they were 18 years old. And then when I talk to them 10, 15 years down the line and they come back and they're on the sideline for games, that they remember their time here and not just their win-loss record, but how they grew as people. And that's a huge, huge, huge part of what we're going to be as a program. You know, growing academically on the field, but socially as well. So you understand that's going to be the mindset. And guess what? I promise you, the winning and the consistency with winning. I'm more proud about doing something over time than making one run. I want to do something over time. We will do something over time. And there won't be any reason. Here's the thing. Every place has challenges. Every place, I don't care where you're at, runs into uphill battles. Okay? Runs into things. We will focus on why we will be great. We will focus on the positives and everything that'll make us the premier team in this conference. And I don't adhere to a lot of coach talk where I have to, be careful. Let's just talk one game at a time. I told the team that today. We will focus on what we need to do day to day, but make no means about it. We're pushing for a 5-10-year vision to be the premier team in this conference and compete nationally, period. Now, here's the steps along the way. And anyone who feels like, maybe you can do it, but you have this or you have this challenge, I don't even want to be around it. I don't want to hear it. And I'll talk to our team. I talked to our team about that today. We're going to focus 100% on why we're going to do great things and continue to build on that. And this place, again, is special for a reason. And again, there is no reason. There is no reason why we can't have that long-term vision. I get excited as I'm up here talking about it with you guys, just because it is. I'm very humbled to be here. And again, it's one of those things where I just want to thank everyone involved one more time. I can't wait. I'm already going, but I can't wait to really get going with the guys when they come back. Right now, obviously, though, there's stuff to do, and we're busy all day, and it's a great thing. And it's a great day to be a Mustang. Thank you very much for having me.
Take questions.
Testing 1, 2. Thank you. Okay, we'll open it up to the media. We ask that they identify themselves so that Baldwin can introduce you, and also limit yourself to a couple of questions in this first round, and then if we have more questions, we will have a second round. We'll start with Dave Alley from Channel 12.
Hi, Coach. Ooh, a little loud. Welcome to San Luis Obispo. I know we're all excited to see you. I can turn my camera on here. First question, I know a lot of people are probably interested. What kind of football team are we going to see? Offensive, defensively, much has been made about Cal Poly famously running triple option for so many years. What can fans expect to see when they visit Spanos Stadium next season and beyond?
You know, the biggest thing is the foundation, like I talked about. And the foundation is in such a great place that, yes, there'll be schematic things that change. There's no doubt about it. But the foundation is in such a great place. We're going to, again, be a football team that attacks, a football team that's aggressive. I'll use the term, I said it all the time, we'll play loose but aggressive. We'll let it rip. We'll do things in that mindset. And that's all I really know, and that's all I believe. Schematically, there'll be certain things that we get into defensively that'll definitely, be a little bit different. And there'll be, most likely you'll see a 180 on offense. You will, because it's what I believe. It doesn't mean it'll be a 180 in terms of the philosophy and how they play, because I have so much respect for that. But the style, yes, it'll be more in the mold of a multiple offense, and I've never, even while I was at Eastern all those years, I never gave it some fancy name. I didn't, because we were very multiple. At times you can say we were gun spread, but other times we would still get into 2 tight end sets. We'd get under center at times, and I still believe in being very multiple as an offense, and that's what we'll be.
My final question. the last couple seasons, attendance at Spanos admittedly has struggled, probably obviously with the team struggling on the field. What can you do as head coach, besides the obvious, bringing a winning program, to engage the community, the students here on campus, alumni, faculty, everyone, to really reinvigorate Mustang football and bringing people to Spanos Stadium and making it really a destination and a place that gives you guys a home field advantage?
I think more than anything, we're going to go out there and guys are going to see us playing with an incredible passion, with an incredible heart, with an incredible love for one another. And when you start to watch a team that truly has that passion and has that love for one another and has that fire, and it's real and it's authentic, and there's nothing, people start to again fall in love with that. And it doesn't mean that everything's going to be easy, but any challenge that we run into, again, we're going to keep attacking it. Quite honestly, people talk a lot about leadership. The best, in my opinion, there's a ton of different qualities of a leader, and we're going to talk about this as a team, but the best thing that a leader can do, in my opinion, is, again, be strong during tough times. Pick people up during times that are tough, and we will do that. So in those moments, they'll see that. They'll see that resolve, they'll see that never give up, and they'll see that love as a team, and that becomes contagious.
Hi, Coach. Garrett Brown, Mustang News. First question. So Cal Poly, you guys kind of touched on this, has a reputation of being very academic-centered, even with the athletics programs. How are you going to overcome the challenge of having more players on the roster with more difficult academic rigor?
What was the first part of the question? I'm sorry.
Just this, Cal Poly, more than most athletic programs, kind of has a reputation of academics being a very high priority.
Yeah.
You're going to run into more students with like engineering majors, that sort of thing.
I think it's nothing but a positive. I'm experiencing it for the last 3 years in Berkeley, and it's nothing but a positive. Working with those young men who understand. Truly, they understand a bigger picture, and quite frankly, they understand how to manage their time. They're here for a reason. They're here to do a lot of great things. So at the end of the day, when they're busier like that, and when they understand how to manage their time, and when they're well-rounded and they're great academically and socially, they are that much better on the field. And coaching those young men, again, is like I said, it's second to none. So I look forward to that, and I don't see it as any challenge at all. I see it as nothing but a positive.
And then coming off of the job as the Cal coordinator, as I'm sure you know, you have Cal early on in the season. Is there anything you're looking forward to in that game specifically?
Nah, I mean, that's, it's funny just how it worked out. But, the only thing is, at the end of the day, once they kick that off, those 22 guys on the field, nothing else matters. I've been in those situations similar, maybe not exactly like this, but it's a lot of talk up until then. But once the game goes, no one remembers anything about where someone was or this or that. I mean, at some point we play Eastern again, and I know about everybody on that staff. So it's one of those things where it's the guys on the field aren't going to care that I was there last year. They're just going to care about winning on that play.
Hey, Coach, Chance Stickman, KSBY TV here in San Luis Obispo. With your sustained success at the FCS level already, and then you go to FBS and you go into a Power 5 school and go to Cal, you talked about the culture here is something that drew you to this job. I mean, but specifically, was there something that led you back to the FCS and led you back to here specific with Cal Poly?
Quite frankly, I never have been caught up. I wasn't while I was Eastern. I've never caught up in a label or a level of play. I mean, when we were at the FCS at Eastern and we played FBS opponents, and we were fortunate enough to make some good runs in some of those games and win a few of those, we really didn't care. So that really was irrelevant to me, in terms of putting the tag of FBS or FCS. My experience at Cal has been amazing. So I wouldn't trade that for anything. What I've learned in the leadership that Coach Wilcox has provided and what I've learned from that staff has been fantastic. But like I said, as you go through year by year, you're hungry. I'm most passionate about being a head coach, period. And I'll make no, apologies for that. People talk about, hey, you're an assistant. You don't have to do all that head coaching stuff. Isn't that kind of nice? I've heard that said. No, it's not. It really isn't. And that's how I feel. So to have that, but at the same time, I wasn't just looking to jump into any opportunity. This just had an opportunity where I talked about with the people, with the community, with the leadership that's in place, and believe me, I felt that, knowing that the locker room, knowing what type of student athletes that are here for the right reasons, and that was something that I learned, again, while I was at Cal. It made this one, why this time? It just checked all sorts of boxes where it just felt right.
You've had a solid pedigree, too, especially at Eastern Washington. And then, at Cal with the offense, you get a guy like Cooper Kupp drafted, a guy like Patrick Laird, who many people around here know is a local guy. As an offensive guy, or as somebody who has, been a coordinator on offense, your thoughts on generating enough talent and generating as much talent as you can offensively, and then, kind of switching that over to defense as well.
My thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's the mindset is I'm not going to put a ceiling on anything that we can do here. I didn't at my time at Eastern. I didn't during my time at Cal. And obviously at Eastern, I was in a different role as a head coach. And we're going to talk about, again, doing the same, having that same mindset and that same vision. And some of those guys you talked about, to me, at most levels, with the very few, the top of the top, but at most levels, at most places, it's about out-evaluating people. It's not necessarily, none of those guys recruit-wise, whether you're talking about Cooper or some of the other amazing guys we had while we were at Eastern, none of those guys did we beat 7 other people in recruiting. A lot of those guys were not recruited to a high level. Maybe we were their only offer, but it's about out-evaluating them. And then once they get on campus, we're not rolling out the balls and go recruiting the next one. We're going to develop those guys while they're here. And I think sometimes that gets lost. The idea of, and that's where you develop the consistency over time. They didn't have 4 or 5 stars next to their name, yet they end up in the NFL. Well, to me, that's about doing a great job in evaluating out of high school and then doing a great job developing within your culture within your program. So those are the things, again, both offensively, defensively, on special teams, the mindset we're going to take when we're, again, putting our team together.
Next question is for Don Oberhelman.
Hey Don, I'm Joe Bailey with the Santa Maria Times. With this hire, I think it comes at an important time with the state of football in California. You don't see, a lot of new programs. Some programs are contracting. It seems like you guys could have taken a chance on somebody maybe that you want to develop, maybe that doesn't have a great reputation, but you guys get someone like Bo, who has a established record, has a lot of success. Just talk about the importance of this hire at this time. And it seems like it's a pivotal hire, and you guys really went for kind of a home run instead of just hitting a single or something like that.
Well, I think every hire that we make in that head coaching role, regardless, is critical. But when you get the opportunity to hire somebody like Bo Baldwin with his credentials, you have to take your shot, and we did. And we worked very, very hard on that. Bo was very patient with me throughout all that process. But, when all you have to do is look at that coaching record. Did I mention 58-14? Did I say that before? You look at that record, and it really speaks for itself. But then that's one part of it. But then when you spend time with him and you visit with him, and I think you've seen some of that today, in terms of he's very grounded in his values. He's very passionate about what he does. And he's not going to come out and talk about that win-loss record. He's not going to talk about the national championships. And he did it again. He never talked about that today. I did that for you, by the way. He talked about what his role is in terms of leading and mentoring young men. And for President Armstrong and I, when we talk about what our values within our athletic department, how they must align with our university, he embodies all of those things. Certainly there are many other people interested in this job. A lot of really qualified, great people, I think. But we certainly made the right hire, and we're very glad to use President Armstrong's word. We're delighted he said yes to Cal Poly. We're very fortunate to have him here.
All right, and then one for Bo. You see a lot of programs with new coaches. I think recruiting locally is a big thing. Do you think, making sure you are recruiting in your backyard? SLO has a proud tradition of football. They had a good season. SLO High, Mission Prep is developing. San Luis Obispo County has a pretty proud tradition of high school football. Some programs don't like it when other programs come in and take local players. How important do you think it is to recruit locally, making sure you're keeping an eye on, the kids in your own backyard?
Oh, 100%. And I know, and I think every coach who's been down the road always kind of has that question, and that gets talked about. And sometimes you feel like you can never be right in it, but don't, make any mistake. You will start from right where we're at and then work out. And that's how you build your foundation. And it's no different. And all I can speak on is the data from before. And when we were at Eastern Washington, we took the same exact philosophy. I mean, we had an amazing percentage from in-state in that state of Washington. And we were able to compete nationally doing that. And part of the reason, I believe, and there's no reason we wouldn't do the same here, in terms of, again, starting again from as close as we can and then working our way out. Because what that also does, in my opinion, not just does it creates situations where it's easier for families to come see those young men. It's easier for support during the season, during any of those times. But it also just, your locker room just naturally becomes more connected. Because so-and-so knew so-and-so, they competed against them. So-and-so knew so-and-so because, they saw them in a 7-on-7 during the summer. Whatever those relationships are, that's big for the continuity in the locker room. So 100%, that's exactly where it'll begin. And then, obviously, you venture into filling what is the best fit? But I have run into it. Sometimes the best fit might be that young man wanting to leave. And sometimes the outsiders sometimes don't see that, but we have that relationship. So it has to still be the right fit if that young man wants to, again, stay close. Because I've seen both throughout the years.
Okay, we're over on your right, Bo. Over here. Way over.
Gotcha.
Scott Middlecamp in the Tribune.
Hi, Bo. Can you just walk us through the interview process? You touched on that a little bit earlier, but just your first meeting with everyone and how that went.
Yeah, it was literally a week ago today. It was Wednesday of last week, and that's the first meeting. So that was something where we were able to sit down, and I got to meet the gentleman in that room that I talked about, and really just got an amazing feel, for the place. I already had a good feel because I knew so many coaches here. I knew Coach Walsh. I knew a lot of the assistants that had been here. I'd, been fortunate enough to be down here competing, so I had a good feel for the area. But that just took it over the top when I went through that process. And then obviously went through the weekend, got back and talked to my boss, who's someone I respect so much, and Coach Wilcox. And we had, good face-to-face conversations over the weekend. And then led me to yesterday, today, and the drive down to 101 yesterday. That's what that's basically in all within that week.
The early recruiting period starts next week, and then contact period started December 1st.
Yes.
How does that affect you and the rest of the program as far as coming into a program this late in December?
Yeah, there's always challenges. There were challenges when I got to Eastern in 2008, and that was before the early signing period, but I still didn't get hired there until January. There were challenges when we got to Cal. We actually got there late. It wasn't until January, I think, 12th of that year in 2017. So I've been down this road before. It doesn't make it easy, but there are challenges that we'll go after. And we'll get those guys. We'll get the guys that know they want to be Mustangs. And if for others it's not right for them, then again, we're going to find those that know this is where they want to be and this is what they want to be a part of. And as we continue to build over the year and you're able to develop a longer relationship each year, that first year can be the toughest, but I'm not going to look at it as anything but, you know what, it's a good challenge. We're going to go after it, and we'll sign the right guys this year.
Coach Lorenzo J. Rena with 24/7 Sports, also with Bear Territory. What was the vibe or the emotions like when you told the Cal players, especially the guys you grew close to? What was the emotions like telling them you're going to take the leap of faith and become a head coach again?
I've only gotten to talk when I get back there because I'm going to, be able to again coach through the bowl game and do those sorts of things. But I've only gotten to talk to a few players individually, and then the QB position, which is a position I coach. When I get back there, I'll get to talk to, the entire offense, just because of the timing of it and dead week and finals week coming up, and we just didn't have any team meetings, and we're on the road, with recruiting so much and some of that. So, but the few reactions I did get were incredibly positive. Like I said, those are mature young men in that locker room. They understand, and again, it's hard. And it's even harder when they understand and respect your decision that much more, because you know how much they care and how much they appreciate it. So when I met with the quarterbacks, it was really hard. And I talked with an O-lineman, talked with a couple other players, just offline, kind of in the hallways, and it was tough. But again, I want it to be tough. If it wasn't tough with any of those guys, then the impact wasn't what it should have been for those 3 years. So, yes, but like one of the quarterbacks said, he was excited, but he also was excited, to finish through the bowl season, which I just owe so much to both sides, both Cal and Cal Poly and the people, to understand this kind of unique situation when you're recruiting into this, but you're still scheduled to play another game up there on December 30th. It is unique, but everyone has been so supportive of it.
Second part of my question, you coached against a lot of athletes in the Pac-12, and you also in practice went against Cal's secondary unit, aka the Takers. What was it like trying to compete against that secondary unit and also game planning for Stanford, Utah, those teams?
Well, competing against our secondary every day and just our defense in general at Cal, really tough. It prepped you for the games. Always felt easier than when we went goods on goods against our guys. And that's a credit to that coaching staff, but ultimately it's a credit to those incredible football players. And they're not just great football players, they understand the game. So for us as an offense going up against our guys, every day, it was, you got the best prep you could possibly ask for. And then competing against opponents like a Stanford or anyone else and you brought up, it's an amazing challenge. And it's an absolute blast. And I just relish those, those tough moments, going on the road, challenges, maybe, being the underdog, whatever that is, we love those moments. And we'll continue to do that. We love those, during my time at Eastern. We love those during my time at Cal. And now fast forward, we're going to love those, every one of those challenging moments coming up, here at Cal Poly.
Matt Jotwell and Kyle Reed want to know if we're still practicing at 6:30 in the morning. That's all the questions that the media has, so I thank you very much, Bo.
All right.
So that concludes our conference today. Coach Baldwin has some one-on-one media sessions he's going to be required to do for a little bit, but I know many of you would like to shake his hand. He's got a live shoot coming up here in just a few minutes, in 10 minutes. So the live KSBY thing will take about probably 10 minutes, and then we should be able to move on from there. So I know many of you would like to say hello to him, but we got to get that done first. So if you're interested, stick around. Head coaches, you guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. And go Mustangs. Thank you, everybody, for being here today.